tropical paradise. A teenager out on the town. Two parents' frantic mission to find their daughter. Shocking unsolved crime number 1 is the disappearance of Natalee Holloway. In spring 2005, 18-year-old Natalee Holloway was finishing up her senior year at Mountain Brook High School in Alabama.
She received an academic scholarship from the University of Alabama. She was totally looking forward to entering her freshman year that fall.
To celebrate, Natalee took a senior class trip to Aruba.
She just was so excited about the upcoming adventure and just everything that goes along with it. Never imagined that would be the last time I would see my child alive.
Holloway and 124 of her classmates departed for the island on May 26th.
There was approximately 7 or 8 chaperones that went on the trip. They had daily checks on the students to make sure that everything was okay. I looked and thought that Aruba was as safe as a Disney World, and that's the picture they painted.
I thought of Aruba as being a small island with a few little tiki huts, tiki torches. I did not look at the destination. I did not do my homework and look at where I was sending her. That's where I made a mistake.
On May 29th, the last night of the trip, Natalee and her friends cut loose at a Boys to Men concert and then went to a local bar for late-night dinner and dancing. The next morning, the students were instructed to gather in the hotel lobby to depart for home. But Natalee never showed.
It's the phone call that no parent can imagine. It was a young girl, and she was just saying that my mother needs to speak with you. I knew instantly that she was either had been murdered or that she had been kidnapped.
Bad news traveled fast. Natalee's brother Matt called their father.
When Natalee missed that plane, we knew something was wrong because she was never late for anything. She was prompt, on time, and had everything planned out.
At 11 p.m., just 12 hours after her daughter went missing, Beth was in Aruba.
That's when we began the absolute nightmare of landing in Aruba and beginning to try to navigate, a foreign country.
It really set in when we first got on the island and realized that when we stopped at that first police station that no one knew what was going on. The lack of communications between the departments on an island that's only 20 miles long and 5 miles wide, I knew then that this is just not right.
According to published reports, the last people seen with Natalee that night were locals Joran Vandersloot and his 2 friends, the Calpo brothers.
We had the car that Natalee was last seen getting into. We had the description of the suspects, and we even had part of a name.
Joran Vandersloot was 17 years old. He's a Dutch national that lived in Aruba, met up with Natalee at the Holiday Inn Casino, and everybody in the group liked him, and he made a bond with some of those girls at that time.
The Aruban police questioned the young men, and Vandersloot told them Natalee was fine when he dropped her off at her hotel. Hotel security cameras never recorded Natalee's return.
Joran was actually taken into custody and named as a suspect, as were the Calpo brothers. From that point on, their stories changed a number of different times.
Joran denied any wrongdoing and was released from custody. The Calpo brothers also denied they had anything to do with Natalee's disappearance. Natalee's parents weren't convinced.
These young men were just merely toying with the interrogators. Stories became insurmountable. One lie would splinter off in 5 lies.
When you continue changing your story, that brings up a suspicion that you are involved in something.
The Holloway family plastered the island with pictures of Natalee.
We began taking those posters and just placing them on telephone poles, store windows, any place imaginable.
The Arubans were very, very helpful in the beginning of trying to find answers or even search for Natalee. In fact, the government let all the workers off one day to initiate a ground search across the island. We couldn't ask for anything better.
We just kept thinking, of course, with every tip that came in, this is it. We're just about to get her. Now we look back on them, just absolutely bizarre and crazy calls that were coming in.
We started a reward within the first few days. The reward now is $1 million for her safe return and $250,000 for information leading to her recovery.
Almost everyone is in agreement that Natalee was quite intoxicated on that evening. Some people have alleged was there narcotics ingested either voluntarily or involuntarily, as one of the theories of the case goes.
The known facts are we have the last 3 men that Natalie was seen alive with. We have the condition that she was in, according to the suspect's description of her and their statements. And then we have 22 different stories that they fabricated to explain what they did with her that night.
This case took so many crazy twists and turns. They arrested all 3 of the guys that she was with that night. They arrested a couple of security guards. They let go and then rearrested some of the guys that she was with initially that night. But at the end of the day, they couldn't press charges on any one of those cast of characters.
Natalie's mother refused to be silenced.
I thought about all the hell that the island had dragged us through for 10 days. I made my pledge right there that I would take Natalie's story to every high school and college podium, because no parent should endure what we did.
Beth Holloway established the International Safe Travels Foundation in Natalie's name.
I think it's all about preparedness and just making sure the traveler understands that, you know, their personal safety boils down to them. I asked the young travelers to bring their plans full circle. And we can't help but go back in Natalie's case and think, what if a friend had set a time and a place to meet before they left that establishment? I know it's very simple, but when you're in a foreign country, it can save your life.
In the years to come, some of these criminals will be discovered and brought to justice. But most of these crimes will remain as they are now: shocking, brutal, and unsolved.